Hello, and welcome to the Genuine Fake podcast. Today we're going to be discussing some, a boxing fight that's gone, and two epic boxing fights that are coming up. So for this, I've got a special guest. His name is Simon Weston. He's a boxing aficionado. Would that be a good description? Expert? Both?
Yeah.
And I'm a boxing enthusiast.
I'd say more. I'm an enthusiast.
I was being generous.
Thanks for having me on.
And yeah, shall we get into it?
Straight into it. There's a lot to talk about over.
So yesterday night or early this morning, depending on which time zone you're in, there was George Kambosos Jr. and Maxi Hughes. Now, I only watched it this morning, but I can show you my scorecard. And that was me being kind to Mr. Kambosos.
I am fuming with this fight. Yeah. I am absolutely fuming.
Can you explain to me, I have a question. 117, 111, and wait a minute, the second part, right? There was 4 rounds where George Kambosos Jr. didn't land his jab, according to the commentators on the version I watched. So I'm not sure how you can score 117, 111.
Well, the fight itself, I had Maxi up 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Okay. The draw, I could see.
Yeah.
But I had Maxi Hughes up 3 rounds. Kambosos wasn't touching him.
No, he swung a lot.
Wasn't touching him. That
but
judge.
He missed quite a lot.
If I was the Maxi Hughes camp, I'd want an investigation put in on that judge.
Yeah.
Because it's...
I scored 114, like I said, being generous. There's a couple of those rounds. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds were close. I think it only swung because in the last 3, Kambosos was a bit busier and Hughes took his foot off the gas a little bit. But the round 10 and 11, you could score either way. Round 9, you could score either way. Well, I gave it to Maxi Hughes. I think round 3, I gave it to Kambosos, and realistically, I think it was probably Hughes' round. He had more of the shots. I think
I had
Kambosos was swinging a little bit.
I had Hughes winning the first 3 straight off. I watched the fight in silence.
Okay, then you're probably more.
And then listened to I watched on YouTube people's reaction afterwards. I mean, Shakur Stevenson classed it as a robbery. he was gobsmacked. All the other commentators and the genuine vibe on Twitter and all that was it's a robbery. Yeah, I thought the fight was in Australia. That's why I'd expect that type of judging in Australia.
Well, the one I watched on the guy who's commenting, his scorecard was pretty similar to mine. So I was scoring it before his. So that's why I wrote it down, because normally you do it at the end, but I was writing down.
Maxi Hughes, let's be honest, unless you're from the UK, you're not really going to have heard of him on a worldwide stage. I've watched his last few fights, and he is a great talent. His counter-punching's fantastic. Kambosos is the favourite. He is a household name now after what he's done. But all I can say is Maxi Hughes, for me, his stock has risen massively.
Yeah.
I think he knows he won the fight.
Kambosos has fallen a little bit.
Yeah, Kambosos has fallen. And
I expected more considering how he.
Kambosos is good
Lopez.
When a boxer's coming onto him.
Yeah.
He looks fantastic, but then a lot of boxers can look fantastic.
And Hughes, being a counterpuncher and a southpaw, I think just bamboozled
Hughes is like you say, counterpuncher southpaw. He's super skillful.
Yeah. He's very, very accurate with his shots.
I tell you what, if he had 25% more power, he'd have knocked Kambosos out as well, because he was landing with that.
A couple of times.
I mean, in that 5th,
and I don't think he was full on, locking his power down on him, like stepping on it. It was more just accuracy and timing.
I mean, let's be honest. If Maxi Hughes wins, he becomes IBF eliminated. It was 4, wasn't it? But with Devin Haney moving up, them 4 belts are gonna be all vacant. So we had the chance. Yeah. Let's be honest. Would he beat Devin Haney? No. Would he beat?
Too skillful. He's not.
Would he beat Shakur Stevenson? Absolutely not. I think Shakur Stevenson's rules a roost. But when them belts become fragmented, he was in with a chance, and he's taken away.
Well, I think you could at least got one.
Yeah, I mean, and if you put him in a fight in the UK.
Well, he wins that scorecard. Well, the thing is, the two of them you could understand. 115, 113, there's a few close rounds. Again, if it was 115, 113, I think I'd have it for Hughes. And if I was being honest, that's probably what I scored. I was being a bit generous for Kambosos, trying to work out what the judges do, and got 114-14. So when the first one came out 114-14, I thought, okay, there's going to be a rematch here.
Yeah, I thought,
117, 111, I think everybody, you heard it in the crowd, they were booing and everything.
I don't think it was a hard fight to score either. No? Because you could see that, Kambosos might have been throwing punches, but he didn't land nothing.
Rounds, he landed nothing. Literally nothing.
Maxi Hughes did Maxi Hughes touch the ropes once?
Not unless he wanted to.
He literally just stayed with that lead foot on his outside, and he just controlled it perfect.
I think there was I've got him scored around 7, 8, 9. I've got him give 3 rounds to him. He was basically on the square of the logo, and he was just dancing around there. And look, Kambosos was just couldn't get near him. He was swinging. He threw a lot of punches, but I mean, it's a travesty. I think it's a robbery.
And you look at again. I know you shouldn't, but you look at the faces. Apart from that cut on Maxi Hughes' head, but
that was a headbutt. I actually scored that. That's what I think. On one of the rounds, I gave it to Kambosos because you've seen it. But when they showed the headbutt, and then I was like,
it's just a headbutt.
Okay, that round should really be the other way around.
Other than that, Maxi Hughes' face, he didn't have a mark on him because Kambosos didn't touch him. Maxi Hughes did the perfect game plan. The only thing I would say is maybe he could have pushed it a little bit more.
The last 3 rounds, I think he should have done more. I think they were a little bit swung the other way but Kambosos came onto him in the last 3 rounds and he stepped back. I think up till that point, I had him 3 rounds up to the end of round 9. Yeah. I think it was, and you could have been more than that. You could have easily given 1 or 2 more rounds.
This isn't going to be the first conversation we'll have about it. It's not the first conversation anyone's had, and it'll definitely not be the last. But these judges in some of the fights, something needs to be done about it. Because some of the scoring
I don't think
absolutely
you can. There is no way in hell you could score that 117 and 11.
Just...
Right, 115-13, maybe even squeeze 116, 114. But any other score, towards Kambosos, you couldn't have. I mean, you could have it. Even 117-11 to Maxi Hughes, you probably could.
Yeah, you could.
You could see that, but not to Kambosos.
I mean, I watched it in silence, and I turned it up at the end for the scorecards. And I was effing and blinding around the house because I just thought the poor lad's been robbed there. He has definitely been robbed. But, like I say, on a plus, his stock has definitely risen from it. Maxi Hughes'
it's the first time I've seen him for a while, so yeah.
Like I say, he seems to have been getting better and better and better his last few fights, and I think he deserves...
He deserves another bite, because that wasn't, that's not a good way to go out. And he doesn't deserve the loss.
I think the IBF should order a rematch.
Yeah.
In the UK.
It'll be 117, 111, 117, 111.
But like you said, I mean, just quickly going on, I was watching the Shakur Stevenson interview afterwards. Shakur Stevenson's, he's not interested in that fight because he knocks Kambosos out in about 3 rounds.
Yeah.
It's.
I think the problem is it all got messed up in that lightweight division because Lomachenko lost against Lopez, which really wasn't a loss. No matter how that was was scoring travesty. Although that was a closer fight because he gave up about 5 rounds before he got going because of his injury. I think that's raised up a fight as greater than what they actually are, because Kambosos beat him, which was a good fight. I mean, to be honest, he fought well, and Lopez is a strong guy.
Yeah,
and really a division
to be honest,
in the super lightweight.
I think that fight Lopez,
and then Haney's taken it off Kambosos, and all 3 of them are gone. Haney is the best out of them, but I think Lomachenko beat him as well, even though it was. I think that Lopez and him was closer than that, and I think all the others have gone. I think the only one there who's probably better than Lomachenko is Stevenson.
I think,
and maybe Tank with his power. Although I don't think he's really interested in that weight that much.
Lopez wasn't interested in the Kambosos fight. He just turned up thinking he was going to steamroll him.
Yeah.
And that's why he got beat.
I think it was, it wasn't good preparation. Well, I think Lopez is a better fight now, but I think that weight is too low for him. I think he's a bigger guy.
It makes it a really interesting weight division.
Well, I think Haney steps up, then it's really interesting because they're all open.
Well, they're talking about Haney stepping up to fight Prograis.
Although Stevenson's called him out, hasn't he? Shakur.
Yeah, but I don't think Haney wants that fight.
Well, if I was him, I wouldn't want that fight.
I don't think Haney wants that. I think Haney will move up, fight Prograis because it's a mega money fight. And then he could fight Lopez.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson, he's in a bit of a dilemma now because if Haney does move up, that's the super fight. So there's only Lomachenko. I think he can clean up the lightweight, and Lomachenko's really at the end of his. But I think. Part. But I mean, that'd be an epic fight against him. I think George Kambosos gets Lomachenko next.
Yeah.
But I'd say you're gonna throw. I think Maxi Hughes could get thrown into one of these fights as well.
Him against Lomachenko would be interesting. Although I think Lomachenko's a bit too good. He's too accurate and too good. But because he's a southpaw, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
He's got enough about him and enough accuracy. But I think he needs to fight somebody else because against Lomachenko, you're going to be in the same boat where if it's close, it's still going to go to the man. Although Lomachenko's been robbed a few times, 3 times in his life. So I think...
No, it's an interesting division. It opens it wide up. Interesting to see how the next couple of months of... So promoters are working on a few... I know Eddie Hearn's working with Prograis to fight Devin, and he's in talks with Devin Haney. Yeah. We know Devin Haney's got a few issues outside of the boxing world at the moment. Yeah. But I think once that's sorted, and then you think you got Lopez up at that weight because he's just beat.
Well, I think that's more
Josh
naturally
Taylor.
Lopez's weight. I think he was a little bit lower. I think Haney's moving up because there's no point him fighting anybody if he loses the belts. That's all he's got. He's only got to lose. He's got nothing to gain. So it's better him stepping up and then leave that and then see what the others want to do because I don't think Lomachenko can go up in weight, so he's got to stay there. That's his
problem with Lomachenko is he's getting old as well.
Yeah, he's got to win it. If they open up, I think that's his chance of getting all of them and hoping that Stevenson goes up the weight as well to fight Lopez and Haney. And then it's open for him. I don't see anybody else there who can do that much. But then they're boring fights because he's probably going to wipe the floor with everybody else.
Yeah. Yes.
They're not at his level, really. It's them who are at his level.
I think Shakur Stevenson Lomachenko is the biggest fight.
Yeah. I would want to see that. That would be good. But I think it'll be a passing of the torch. So
possibly.
Because I think Stevenson's got enough about him in power, skill and everything else to...
Stevenson's a different animal to the rest of these.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Other people might not.
Might not believe that.
Might believe that, but yeah.
So
unlucky Maxi Hughes. I think he won. I think most of the proper purist boxers.
Well, in the worst case, he drew. Yeah. So it's a rematch. But, and I think if you scored it properly, I think he was the better fighter.
I know he's going to be absolutely devastated, but for me, he put on a great show, and his stock's definitely risen. He could walk away with his head held high there, definitely.
Yeah. Okie dokie. So let's close that out, and we'll have a little pause, and then we're coming back with one of the epic
mega fights.
Yeah, coming up,
megas,
which we've been all clamouring for and have been avoided in the recent times. Okay. So we'll pause there. Thank you. All right, welcome back. So now we're going to move on to the upcoming fight on the 25th of July between Stephen Fulton and Naoya Inoue. I hope I said that correct.
He's the monster.
Yeah. Well, I was going to save that line for the nicknames. I was asking the kids, who would you vote for if one's called Coolboy and one's called the Monster? And they were like, the Monster. Yeah.
I mean, Coolboy's not a good nickname.
No, not really.
Not for a boxer.
Well, I think it's come about because he's calm under the pressure, and it is. I think the way he boxes, it does sort of suit him. But
we'll see how.
He's never. Yeah,
we'll see how calm he is on
coming
Tuesday.
At it's interesting to see how cool you'll be. So I think that's sort of a thing. So should we start with? Well, I think there's two big questions from my point of view. With Inoue coming up, obviously he's a generational talent. He's a 3-weight world champion. This would be his 4th weight. He started at the low weight, flyweight, and then...
Flyweight, super flyweight, bantamweight.
And this is super bantamweight now. But he's carried his power up all of those, and not just carried it, it's like it is monstrous power.
Getting better.
And he has got better. I did a little watch through last night of his fight against Mulroney. And Mulroney's a good fighter. And he made him look decidedly like basically it was a sparring session. Basically, that's what he made him look like. And that's not being unkind to Mulroney.
The only fight I've really seen him, I wouldn't even say in trouble, but close, was the Donaire first fight.
Well, he broke his orbital bone and he was cut up and things. But that happened quite early. And he still carried on and still won.
But then, you know...
But I think he needed that.
Yeah, but then the second fight, he knocked him out in round 2.
He'd worked him out by then, and he just destroyed him.
And that's just...
Yeah.
And Donaire's a
fantastic
future
fighter.
Hall of Famer, legend of the sport.
World champion. Yeah. And he's won his fight since, I think, as well. And he's going back to become a world champion again, I think, is his aim.
You know,
he's no bum. And he hasn't passed it when he's won his fights around those fights.
No, he's a legend of the game.
I think he's won both fights after the first fight. And he's won a lot of fights before, and so it's a legend versus the monster, and the monster came out both times, and the second time was
I mean the first fight was just,
it's an epic fight.
It was just one of the best fights I've seen. It was just, you thought, right, Inoue's out, Donaire's out, and then he'd just come back, and then you were thinking, oh, he's caught Inoue, and then Inoue come. It was just one. It was a great fight, and really enjoyed watching it. Yeah. And although it's far away in Japan, it's a good time for us because
it's a good time to watch.
So you can watch them live as well. You don't have to set your alarm clock for 3-4 o'clock in the morning. But obviously, anyway, he won the Super 6 series, which kind of like.
Well, I think a lot of his fights before that have been pretty comprehensive. He hasn't really been, but he's probably been pushed, but not really hard.
No,
the Donaire was the first one where they've got. And it's like those things. It's a legend, and it's an old lion. An old lion can always be dangerous against the young.
I mean, I think the Super 6 put him on the map for the boxing purists, if you like. I think, I hadn't really heard of him until the Super 6. Because he beat what's his name, McDonald, for the title over in Japan. Yeah.
I think that's when people started noticing
him
on this side.
Because he just destroyed him.
Yeah.
It was pretty cruel, to be honest.
Well, you're taking on a world champion and you just made him
look average.
It was 2 rounds, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was absolutely just shocking. And then the Super 6, he just destroyed everyone in that as well.
I think there aren't but that times when he's got on the cover of Ring magazine, and then he was on twice, and he's the first Asian fighter to have the whole.
And it was, cover. There were good world class boxers in that Super 6 as well. Let's not say it was an easy competition to win. There was super,
but he made it look.
He did make it look easy. A lot of people are going to say, well, he doesn't fight outside of Japan. Well, Floyd Mayweather never fought outside of America.
Well, he has fought in the US. A couple of fights. He's Damarenas or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the other, Mulroney was outside.
I would like to see him on the road more, but
I think the thing is he's such a huge star.
Yeah,
they're going to make the money there.
Yeah,
and obviously the Japanese side want their
huge
put. It's like Canelo, isn't it? In Mexico, it's him in Japan. But it would be better if he comes to UK. I think
the UK thing has always been if you're a UK fighter, traveling to America's the pinnacle of your career, and that's what you've got to do. And maybe I'm stuck in that way of fighters should travel, but maybe you don't have to anymore if you're such a star in your country anyway. Could you imagine if Pacquiao had fought in the Philippines against Ricky Hatton or someone like that? There isn't a stadium big enough. Now, obviously, in Japan, there is some massive stadiums.
But no, I agree with you, though. I would be nice to see him outside,
yeah, maybe
like
come
at Wembley
to UK.
Or somewhere, or in Madison Square Garden.
But if I was a boxing promoter, I wouldn't want my fighter going anywhere near him.
yeah.
Not unless he was on the 25% and more fighters were getting the 75%. I wouldn't let him anywhere near my fighters.
Yeah.
I think he's an absolute special talent.
Well, I think we've given him enough praise now, but I think there's two questions for me. Is he's stepping up in weight again? So can he carry his power? I think, yeah. He's got,
I don't think that's an issue.
I don't think that's an issue. So I think the only other question is when you're getting hit by a bigger guy, because these are definitely going to be bigger guys, can he take a punch? And I think if the answer to both of them is yes, I think he cleans out this division as well. Because he's gone up to, and now maybe we should start, and that's a good point to switch to Mr. Fulton, is, he's the best, he's the highest ranked in this division. I think best is not the right word, but highest ranked, and he's a unified champion.
Yeah,
and he's beaten a lot of undefeated fighters.
He's beaten a lot of undefeated fighters by only... he's had, 8 knockouts?
Yeah, I think that's where he isn't a big puncher, but he has a...
I mean, obviously he's not going to get a lot of knockouts down at them weight divisions.
Yeah. Unless your name's Naoya Inoue.
Yeah. Has Fulton... My big issue is, I think Fulton can win. He's going to have to mix it up on the inside.
Well, I think Fulton can win, but it's on points, likely, rather than knocking him out.
Can he get the respect? Because he's going to have to...
It's if he's... That's what I meant. The big question for me is, has he got the power to slow Inoue down? Because if Inoue starts walking him down, Fulton is very good. His defense is very good.
Yeah,
he's very quick. He's a counter puncher. That's all great. But if Inoue catches him one of those body shots, or even to the face, and the body shot's his power... If he's not getting troubled by Fulton's power, I think it's going to be the normal type of fight. I think he'll go quite a long way because he is quite slippery. Yeah,
he's slippery, but the thing you've got to do with Inoue, and I don't compare him to Canelo, but it's what Canelo does, is he walks people down because he's got no respect for the power, because he's not worried about getting hit, because if he does get hit, it's a light punch.
Well, I think one of the things I've seen against Mulroney, because it was... People just think he's like a Wilder, basically a one-hit wonder type thing. His defense is very good.
His defense is really good.
And it's not just his hand speed. His foot speed is ridiculous. He's in and out so fast. That's why the people get hit.
What he does really well is he picks his shots superbly.
He's super efficient in his punches. It's not like he wastes them, just swings. His
body punching is...
Because I've seen one of Fulton's comments about Figueroa. Oh, I fought a taller, bigger, powerful guy and whatever. Figueroa was just swinging.
Figueroa was a windmill.
Like a windmill.
Basically was a windmill.
That is not Naoya Inoue. He is if Figueroa is like your shotgun, Naoya Inoue is your laser guided munition. He's super accurate.
He's got... Fulton... He is super slippery. He's super confident as well, which I like. He is super confident.
Can be, yes. And he fought well against Figueroa but Figueroa did rock him a few times, did catch him, because he's just a bullying, windmill shotgun guy. So some of the shots are going to land. He throws that many and swings that hard, and he did fight quite well. But it's just like he doesn't seem to have the power. I think if somebody had the power, then you'd be a bit worried, because if you got power, you can win any fight because you only need to land once or twice if you got that one punch power. I don't think he's got the one punch power.
No,
he's a very accomplished boxer. I would say he's a very, very good boxer, but I think Inoue is just, he's just special.
I think, Inoue's... I'm just trying to make a case for Fulton, and I'm just finding it really hard.
Well, I think... Well, I watched a Fulton documentary, and then I was like, oh, yeah, he's beaten unbeaten guys, and his boxing skill. And I was sort of swinging that way a little bit, thinking, oh, he's got a chance. But I wasn't convinced completely. And then I watched the Inoue one where he's upcoming, and then I was just like, nah, he hasn't really got a chance.
No, I mean, if you look at the resumes as well, Inoue's resume is just so much better as well.
And I think that one of the best fights one was the first Danae, because I think that's, he can get caught and he can get things, but because you've seen how he reacts when he's actually in trouble. And, the broken orbital bone, we've seen people give up. Lots of give up might be being a bit kind, but they've lost the fights because
this guy is never going to give up.
Yeah,
I'm telling you now, he is never going to give up. And the problem with him, like you say, he's at that weight. He's like the power of Deontay Wilder. He's got punch speed.
He's got the accuracy probably of a Dimitri Bivol.
He's got he can walk you down like Canelo.
Yeah.
He's just got.
His shots sound like Canelo's, where he thud.
Them body punches are just sickening, absolutely sickening. And that's how we break you down. He will break you down. He'll bring that little touches, bang. He'll slam that right hand into the body, left hook over the top, and he's got a great left hook as well.
Yeah. I think that the thing people, it's like if you haven't really seen him and you've just heard about him, you just think it's like, you know, it's the Deontay Wilder syndrome. I'm not picking on Deontay Wilder. I think he's a quite good boxer, but, you know, but it's that one punch, you know, swing. That's not really.
No, if you watch him,
he gradually wears you. It is like more like Canelo. He gradually wears you down, walks you down. You know, he sort of body shots you out of where he knows that your power ain't going to hurt him, and then but you don't touch him that much because he doesn't get caught that much.
No, like I say, you look at the fight. Look at the fighters who he's fought. He's fought boxers as well as fighters,
and he just makes them look ordinary.
And he outboxes them, and he can box.
And
he can fight.
Butler, Mulroney, you know, Donaire, and the people like that. You know, and he can carry on down the list. And he just makes them look ordinary. And it's like, you know, sometimes you can be a bit too good because you don't realize how good they are. And I think he's still, like you said before, I think he's getting better. He looks to have got better and better in fights, and I think he'll still get better.
Yeah, he reminds me of when Pacquiao first moved up and beat Barrera. No one had really heard of Pacquiao. And he come and destroyed Barrera, and then it was a Pacquiao train. Barrera, Morales, Cotto, Diaz, De La Hoya, and this is what, in a way, he just reminds me of that. He's just going to move up in the weights, and he's just going to knock everyone out. And the only time it's going to catch up with him is age, I think.
Yeah, that's the only thing, because he's at 30, so he's probably
got 30
years left.
So he got, you know, 6 or 7 years at the top of his game. If he beats Fulton, which I think he will.
It's Marlon to Palace, isn't it? That fight, I think, because he's the other unified champion.
But, you know, how far in the weights can he go?
I don't really know that much about Palace. So,
no.
You know. Well, I think if he beats Fulton, he's the best, and I think he clears out that division.
Yeah, it's
just then whether he thinks, wait a minute, I'm undisputed in 2. Do I really need to do anything else to promote Steve?
Why not? I get the feeling
he's still probably got a few more fights in him.
He loves fighting, this fella.
Yeah,
he loves fighting, and I think he'll be fighting a long time. It's how high can he go. You know,
it's how much you can carry the power.
What was Pacquiao, an 8-weight world champion? Can he do what Pacquiao did? Can he go them 8 weights? Is he too small?
I would say he's probably a little bit too small.
But everyone said that about Pacquiao. I mean, if you look at the size of Pacquiao,
but I think he's not. He's might be a bit bigger than Pacquiao. He's
similar. So
I think it's this, isn't it? If he can take a punch, and if his power carries, then he can carry as far. As long as his power carries and he can take the punch, I think he goes as far as he needs to.
Yeah.
But then you're getting into the areas where there's some really, really good fighters. And then if you're fighting a natural, it could be a bit like a Mikey Garcia's a fantastic fighter, but he fought, somebody we're going to speak about in a little bit, Errol Spence, and Errol Spence just schooled him.
I think he's picked Fulton, and it's a perfect fight for Inoue. I do think it's a perfect fight, a great bit of matchmaking. I think it's
I think it's, as much as we've been talking about Fulton, I think it's a great fight. I think it is an epic fight. Probably not as epic as the one we're going to speak about afterwards, but I think if you took that out of the equation, we'd be like, you know, yeah, this is a fantastic fight.
But then I get with Fulton, I call it the Audley Harrison syndrome. Is you start believing what he's saying,
yeah,
and then you're going, he's going to knock him out. You know, like Audley Harrison did against David Day, when you be like, oh my God, you start believing all what he's saying, and then you're thinking, but then. Take a step back. Let's have a look at it. Fulton, he's a world-class boxer.
Yeah.
But there's world-class and then there's elite.
And then there's Naoya Inoue above that.
Yeah. I think,
Well, I think elite, there's a lot of elite. I think Fulton is, like I said, very, very good. I think there's excellent, and then there's, you know, there's those, like, special people, and that's, like, the Canelos and co, who are Inoue's talent.
I just don't.
Pound for pound, you're number one. I think he's told me before. He's actually, I think he's, is he Ring Magazine's pound for pound number one as well? Or is he not Ring? Well, I looked up all the ring to ring. There's about 5 now, isn't there? I think Ring, I think might be Usyk, and then he's number 2, and another guy we're going to talk about, Crawford, is number 3. They were all 4 of them were all interesting, except have you seen Boxing Records one?
No, what's Box Rec?
Canelo.
Yeah, I could see why. All right, because I mean, Canelo's still undisputed super middleweight champion, middleweight, light middleweight, welterweight, light welterweight. He's moved up to light heavy.
I think you've got to have somebody who's on. If they've never been beaten, I think that gives them a little bit of an edge. All right, Canelo's was stepping up too big in weight. That's fine, but also Mayweather schooled him. So I think, yeah, I could see, but like if you look at the fighters on their list and the people, it's more like who's missing.
I mean, my top 3 is Inoue, Usyk, Crawford.
So Inoue stays top for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Usyk's number.
I think the problem with all of them is it's after this fight. You really need Usyk to fight Fury, and then he is there.
I mean,
Inoue needs to. If Inoue beats Fulton, I think he automatically goes to the top of that list. I said, maybe just for 4 days, but he goes to the top of that list until the fight we're going to talk about.
But then I put.
But you've got to have like Zabivol in there, who was fantastic.
But can you have Bivol in there as a pound for pound because he's only fought at one weight?
Yeah, I think that's the ones where
I think a pound for pound list is who. It's what you make of it.
Well, I think if we did this fight, if Fulton and Inoue were the same weight class, I think it's like 99% of people would be Inoue's going to win.
I think the bookies have got Inoue as a massive, huge
favorite anyway. I think
huge favorite.
Yeah. I mean, Fulton's got a chance. Let's give Fulton a bit of love. I think Fulton's got a chance if he boxes clean, doesn't get caught, but he's got to do that for 12 rounds. And dances around. And he can do it.
He can frustrate him.
Yeah, he can frustrate him out.
If he can start frustrating him, and then start getting in a way to start chasing it.
And it might give him chances open
up.
And he's good enough counter-puncher to catch him.
I mean, Fulton's combination punches are really good.
Yeah. And he's very, very slippery, and he's very good at counter-punching.
And that can...
So let's be fair, he has got a chance.
He has got a chance because he can seriously frustrate in a way. Because the problem is, not the problem is, I think Inoue is going to want to put on a massive
show. He's at home as well, yeah.
He's at home, and that can go against you because you are trying so hard. You're going in tense, you're not relaxed. You're looking for that knockout straight away, and it can cause you massive problems. On the other side, Inoue looks like the coolest character that I've ever set eyes on in the ring. That bell goes and he locks on like a predator, and it's just like a red dot on him, and he just seek and destroy.
Is what you just said there. He's just a predator.
Yeah, but Fulton can.
So it's basically the lion versus the antelope. But now looks if the antelope can be.
How's it going to go? I don't see. I think if it goes past 8 or 9 rounds and Inoue hasn't got him out of there, it's going to start getting interesting because I think Inoue will try and really push it then. And that's where...
Well, I think it reverses my first question. Then if once Fulton's been caught by Inoue's power, because Inoue's too accurate, he's going to catch him at some point, a body shot or a straight shot to the face. It's how much it rocks him. Rather than, I think it's both of them have that question. See, but if he gets to 8 or 9, I think you're right then. Because Inoue keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, and he can get caught then.
What Fulton has to do is he has to remember he's in Japan. Them judges are not going to like someone that's running away from someone.
But we're not going to like somebody who's running away from someone.
So he might be
unless he's like a master class.
He can fight
defense.
on. He might be able to run away and pick off jabs, but the judges aren't going to score that.
You're gonna score
They're just not. Plain and simple. Look at Maxi Hughes. Playing example again. So Fulton can't, unless it's clear and decisive, I don't think
he wins there.
Wins on points.
Yeah.
Unless his grandmother's on one of the judges.
Or that guy from yesterday.
Yeah. He doesn't win on points for me. Unless, like I say, unless it was like, when Fury fought Klitschko, it's that convincing that you really can't go against it.
Okay, then. Should we close out? What's your prediction then? And you're going to give a round.
Inoue, round 8 knockout.
Okay.
I think I changed my mind. I think I said 9 last time, but I think
I'm going to go for round 9. And Inoue by knockout.
So just Inoue knockout. Round 8.
But I'll give you credit if it is round 9.
Inoue round 8. It wouldn't surprise me if he had him down in the second or third as well.
I think if he carries his power and he doesn't get bothered by Fulton's power, and he's catching him, I think you could probably see a few. I think he could.
I think he'll knock him down in the second or third. Fulton gets on his bike.
Inoue just catching him,
catches up with him, and then snatches his soul like he does with everyone else.
Yeah,
but I look forward to the fight. I always look forward to watching Inoue fight.
Anyways, yeah.
So yeah, it's really.
So I think
exciting.
just put caveats that we're both Inoue fanboys. all those people who are going to complain. We're both Inoue fanboys.
I am a fanboy of
but
him,
for good reason.
And
I'm not against Fulton. That's why I've tried to pump a little bit.
He's got that, like a few years ago. He's just got that Canelo vibe about him that he's not going to get beat.
Yeah. I think there's very good boxers like Fulton, who are world class level and everything else, and I think then there's the ones with the X factor. Inoue definitely has some of that, a la Canelo and a la other people.
Last question for it: if Fulton beats him, is it a massive shock to the boxing world?
I think it's a shock. I'm not sure it's massive because it's his division. So I think because he's stepping up, it wouldn't be. But I think it depends on the nature of the win. If he sort of schools him like Spence did Mikey Garcia, then I think it'd be a shock.
Yeah.
Or there'll be a lot of people just going, he was never that good anyway. When he was, it's just one step too far, and maybe it raises Fulton's level up a few.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough of him to really. I've only watched 1 or 2 of his fights, so I can't really judge it. But for looking at it, it's like this. I'd love to watch Inoue's fights. I'm not that bothered if I missed Fulton's. That's probably been a bit unkind, but I like the ones with the X factor, and so Inoue is there. But I think it is a shock. I think it'd be a shock to both of us now, seeing how much we built up Inoue if Fulton wins.
Yeah, we will eat our words.
Well, we'll do our analysis and be like, who was scoring that? Was his grandmother on the scorecards?
No, but I think it's going to be a good fight either way. And I look forward
I hope so, innit?
There's a couple of good undercards on there as well, which we'll talk about when we're watching the fight, because there is some really cool world title fights on there.
Okie dokie. All right, we'll close this one out, and then we've got we'll build it up now. We've got a third fight is even more epic to absolutely
the big
fight.
one.
So, we'll have a little pause there, and then we'll come back with that. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back to part 3 of our third fight now. The one we've been building up for.
The one I'm most excited for.
Yeah, I think this is truly epic fight. Shame it could have happened a few years ago, but I think Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford is mouth-watering. I think even now, I think they're both still in the prime. But a little bit earlier would have been great. But, a certain car accident and stuff got in the way. What can you do, eh?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this one?
I think it's the biggest fight out there.
Yeah.
Take away... No, it's the biggest fight out there in the boxing world right now.
I think the welterweight division is fairly loaded with really, really good fighters, but these two are the two exceptional talents.
We've been waiting for it. It's it's your Pacquiao Mayweather, it's your Fury Joshua. It's the fight that we've wanted to see. It's the fight it's the who's the best, and it's going to get answered. Hopefully get answered. Fingers crossed.
No dodgy scorecards.
No dodgy scorecards, no draws. I want a nice clean knockout.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it. I don't know. It's a proper 50-50 fight as well.
Yeah.
In my eyes, a really 50-50 fight. I think it's good timing for Terence Crawford. Because I think he's been the busier of the... I mean, they haven't been exceptionally busy fighters over the past 2 years.
I think they just keeping warmed up for this, because really this should have been about a 2018, 2019 fight. And I think because of various things going on in the world, etc., politics, the promoters, it's been delayed, and it was a fight then. But I think I wouldn't complain seeing it now. I think it's still a good time to have it.
No, I'm made up of it. The only thing I will say is the promoters, sort yourselves out, because you're not promoting it very well.
Yeah. Well, at least not in the UK.
Not in the UK anyway, because this is a massive fight, and no one's really screaming and shouting about it over in the UK. It's not, and they should be, because...
And I think it doesn't matter where you're from. Two people of this talent level fighting is just...
when you've had
if you're boxing, anything, even a fan...
When you had the Pacquiao-Mayweather era, everyone was talking about it.
Yeah. Everybody wanted to go, yeah.
Is it because, as boxers, we're just getting fed up now of these big mega fights just not happening anymore, so we just don't talk about them anymore? And I think a lot of people are getting really annoyed with it, so that's
it. You not mention a big, huge Gypsy King who's avoiding the biggest fight in the heavyweight division now.
That is for a
later date.
A later date when I will lose my temper. And I'm coming for you, Tyson Fury, on that one. But no, I do genuinely think that's what's happened in boxing, is people are getting a little bit fed up of these mega fights are never going to happen. But thankfully, these two
have worked it out.
They
took
out.
The promoters out the way and then worked it out.
Yeah. Let's be honest. As far as I'm concerned, this is a 50-50 fight. The fight should be 50-50 split. Let's get it on. Find out who the best is. May the best man win. Boom.
Yeah.
You'll go down as a legend if you win. So I'm really excited for it.
Okay, should we start making the cases for each one? Should we start with Errol Spence?
Errol Spence. His boxing ability is fantastic.
I think he does all the basics exceptionally.
Yeah.
He's just a machine.
Reminds me a bit of Andre Ward, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I can see the similarity.
Just does everything really, really well.
Yeah.
He's got good footwork, and he's got 22 knockouts in this fight. I wouldn't class him as a knockout puncher though. He seems
he's
to
not a one-punch artist.
People
he
down.
Just grounds you down with his boxing
and I think,
level and skills.
Yeah, I think, but just like Brooke retired, Lamont Peterson he had a bad eye injury, so he got pulled out. God,
no, he's definitely got power.
He has got power,
but it's consistent power on heavy shots.
It's not what I call concussive power.
Yeah, it's not the one punch wonder. It's break you down.
Yeah, he breaks you down. I mean, he might have that.
He's heavy-handed, but
he's heavy-handed. He might have concussive power, and he just
never needed
doesn't seem to use it. Enjoys what he's doing, breaking people down. Like I said, he's got really good. He picks his punches really, really well.
He's very good defensively. His movement is very good. He's very efficient, and he's just a machine in going.
Has he got a weakness?
I think a few people have pushed him. Porter pushed him.
Yeah,
quite a lot. That was a close fight. If he didn't get the knockdown, I think then we could have seen some interesting scorecards. I think that was pretty close. I think a few others have had. Kell Brooks started better against him until he sort of switched and worked him down. It was really only the eye injury that stopped him down. Kell Brooks was quite good in that fight.
For me, in my opinion,
although we're not fans of his, no. But yeah. And who else has he had? Danny Garcia had a bit of luck against them.
Yeah, and the problem was Danny Garcia was about 30, 36, 37. He was well past his prime. Ugas. Again, he seems like that's why I think he's such a good. He places his punches perfect because it's always the same spot. Because Hughes was an eye injury again. He just kept on it in the same spot.
The Hughes one was interesting. It was pretty even. Then Hughes punched him. I don't know if it was after a break or a thing where he knocked his mouth shield out. And you see Errol sort of look what it is, and he goes. I think he said in an interview, and he thought he lost some teeth.
Yeah.
And then he sort of switched. Boom. And then he went at him, and then basically just. But it wasn't one punch wonder. It was just.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, the weakness of Errol Spence is when he's not getting his own way. That's when.
I'm not sure he's got a weakness because nobody's managed to actually expose it yet properly. I think Porter's was pretty close because Porter's a pretty damn good fighter. But Porter has his way of going forward, and when he's pressurized them, he did get a lot of luck. He hits him a 50 times, and no, you remind me of one. I think Porter's foot speed in and out was faster than Errol Spence's. And I think that could be something leading on to our next guy, who's got a lot of foot speed. But anyway, we'll pause. So I think, I think if we're harbouring on Errol Spence's side, he's just going to grind him down and go. He is the naturally bigger guy. Most of the boxers saying he's stronger. I think athletically stronger than bigger guy. I'm not so sure in one punch power whether he's the same as, I think Bud has more of the snap. He has that one punch. He does have the one punch switching thing, and he can do it from any side and any angle. But I think where Crawford has an advantage is his foot speed is way, way, way faster than, and because Porter did the same to Crawford, and then Crawford switched, and then his foot speed, he just stopped him.
Yeah.
And I think that there's, well, we're gone to Crawford now. I've started doing it. I want to give first I am a Crawford fanboy. I'm a Spence fanboy, but I'm more
the Crawford
fanboy.
I am a Crawford fan. But I was a massive Errol Spence fan when he beat Kell Brook. So he went really...
Surprisingly, so was I.
He went up with my estimation superbly.
No, I would watch an Errol Spence fight. I think he's really, really good. He's just a machine.
Yeah, like you say,
but he's not boring. It's like, this method to the madness. His body shots are thunderous.
It's because he's that good. He becomes boring, if you like. If you know what I mean.
Well, I wouldn't say
not
his fights
boring,
are boring, but you know what to expect. You expect him to win. You do it. I think the interest with this fight is you're against somebody who's got that. See, if I was doing it, I think Errol Spence is that elite level, but then Crawford's one of the Inoue. He's that little. He's got that X factor.
Really?
And he's also coming up, and he's 3-weight world champion and stuff. So I think I think the advantage I give Crawford, and I would be like it's 51 Crawford, 49 Spence. It's still pretty damn close, and I think either of them can win. It just depends who's the one who turns up on the day and has the best day. But I think the thing I give him is Crawford can change. He can adapt to the fighter. So if he can last out the first couple of rounds where he's reading them, I think he's got enough about him to switch and work it out. And if he works him out, I think he's just got that thing. He's got the one punch power. I think he can stop it. Spence is pretty rugged, so it might take more than one punch. But he did against Porter because you can see him sitting in the corner and his corner tell him, wait a minute, you're behind on the cards. And it was like, oh, I'm behind? Okay, all right, boom. And then basically the fight was over.
Is Crawford's age going to matter in this, do you think?
I think he's still a machine. I think he's still in shape.
Answers
and they're not that far apart.
No, I mean, Spencer's what, 33?
I think if Spence was younger,
35.
Then... Yeah. The other thing is I think his car accident and his eye injuries probably give a little bit of edge, whether they do or not. But I think it's still anything where you get damaged, although he didn't really allow that to get in the way against Hughes, so...
No, I mean, and don't forget, Hughes was coming off a huge victory over Pacquiao.
Yeah.
So his confidence would have been
really,
sky
really
high. Because I don't think, there weren't many people giving Hughes a chance in that fight.
No. I think it was a bit closer than most
Which
people
I don't
thought.
want to talk about because as much as Naoya is a Crawford fan, I am a Pacquiao is a god to me. So I don't want to talk about it. No, Crawford... time I was impressed with Crawford was against Amir Khan, not because of, he won, but what impressed me most was he was out punching Amir Khan with speed, and
which I've never seen done.
Shocked the life out of me.
Yeah, I think Amir Khan's really, really quick.
Amir Khan,
you've never seen him outpaced. the only thing is he's got a chin where he can get caught, and it's normally when he's overstretched or made a mistake.
Yeah,
or something.
I mean, forget about
Crawford. Just reversed it.
Yeah.
He was beating him he read him and just beat him to the punch.
Forget
and
about
you could see Khan was in shock.
Yeah, forget about Khan's
wait a minute, this guy's hit
chin
me.
and stuff like that. It was even Khan's. Amir Khan is one of the fastest punchers that's ever graced a boxing ring.
Yeah,
End the conversation, in my opinion. But and I genuinely believe that's why Khan just went, do you know what? I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Low blow, yeah, I'm taking it. I'm gone. This guy's too quick. He's too strong. He's cutting the ring off super quick. Every time I throw a jab, he's already hit me.
Well, I think you're building my case because that's what I think he did against Porter. Porter has that really good movement in and out, and he swings out, which he did against Spence. And apart from the knockdown, which was really Porter overstretching, and he got caught, Crawford worked him out. And then he was doing the same to him, and his foot movement in and out was even faster than Porter. He basically reversed the situation once he'd worked him out, and he did the same. And he'd done that to a few people.
I mean, the first time I saw Crawford fight was against Ricky Burns.
Yeah.
And I was a Ricky Burns fan, and Ricky Burns, fantastic boxer. And even Ricky Burns said himself, he went, yeah, the guy's really, really good. And what was that, lightweight, I think that was.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. Who's he fighting next? And then it was against Gamboa, and he just destroyed Gamboa. And I was like, wow, okay, this guy's something. And I think wasn't really. He had a few more
there seems
fights.
to be some thing about their resumes, but I think you're more of the opinion that actually, Crawford's is more impressive than
Crawford's resume is 100 times better.
He's on his, 8,
I mean,
9, 10 fight knockouts.
I'll go through Crawford's resume. David Avanesian, no one wanted to fight him.
Yeah.
No one in Britain wanted to fight him. Porter.
Yeah, we've already spoken about Porter.
All right, Kell Brook, I'm not going to count because whatever. Khan, still a handful for anyone. Benavidez, great fighter. Jeff Horn, beating Pacquiao. Just them alone. That's before you go back into his lightweight fights. Yes. Ricky Byrne, Raymond, Beltran, Gamboa, Postel, Molina. He's fought the best each time and beat them. And I can't say, I don't think Errol Spence has done the same.
Well, he hasn't till this fight. If he beats Crawford, then yeah, we can say that about him.
I mean, you can say, Errol Spence has fought Danny Garcia and Lamont Peterson. In my opinion, they were well past their prime. Well past their prime. I
think Porter's the only one, and he's on.
Yeah, both. I mean, and Porter's
and that was really close until he got the knockdown was the 10-8 round that gave him the advantage, really. And I think and then he won the last round, which gave him that 2 or 3 points up. Until then, it was pretty close. I mean, he was probably winning, but it was pretty close. Yeah. That's what's give you that the little bit of daylight.
I think Terence Crawford, he's got a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, a plan E, F, G. He's got so many plans.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where, if plan A's not working, he'll switch it straight away. Right, let's try plan B. Okay, that's not working, let's try plan C. And it's quite hard to do during a fight, that.
Well, I think that's what makes him. That's why I said he's got that X factor.
That's why
it's
he's
not just
special.
Switch hitting, because there's other people who can switch hit, but he's equally adept in both southpaw or orthodox stance.
The switch hitters,
but he doesn't just do it for the sake of it or dancing around. He does it because wait a minute, I've seen something here. Change.
Yeah.
Or this. I don't think it's so much as not working. He goes. I think at the beginning people say he's a slow starter. I think he's just reading the fighters. He's working out the ranges. He's working out what they do. He's timing them, and then once he's got it, however long it takes, he goes, all right, now this is what I need to be. I need to be southpaw, I need to be obstacles.
If you look at Crawford's record, it seems to take him about 7 rounds because most of his knockouts are around 8 and 9.
Yeah. Well, no, I think he starts about round 4.
Yeah.
It takes about 3 to download it.
You're out now.
And then, but then he's feeling it out. Right? Yeah. If I throw this one, does it? If you're jabbing and he goes over the top, you see him sort of switch on the punches and try. Or he'll feint to make you think he's going to, he did it to Porter. He fainted. And because Porter comes in with a low lunge and he does a shot. He made him think he was going to punch him with the right, and he basically left hooked him to the face because he dipped under his arm to block a punch. If you slow down, you see it, and he just punched, and you just think, but he did it 2 or 3 times before, which you miss watching a fight.
I tell you what does surprise me about Crawford, which is his reach. He's got a really long reach for the size
even
of him.
In this fight, he's got even though he's giving up an inch or 2 in height, I think he's only giving up about an inch in height, but he's 2 inches his reach, which is ridiculous. 74 inches.
That's
isn't that like sort of like light heavyweight stroke?
It's huge.
Heavyweight reach.
His arms are seriously long, and that so.
I think the 2-inch reach is more important than the 1-inch height. I don't know about you.
Like it,
because they don't look that different in height on the stage.
I remember,
2 inches in reach is
when I was boxing a long time ago. Back in the day, obviously I was like bloody 7.5 stone, so I was fighting little short guys, and I could just keep them at the end of the jab for 3 rounds, no problem at all. They couldn't get past this. I had a great wingspan. And Crawford can do that. It was only, and I always thought that the longer reach is much better, until Joe Calzaghe, who had a really short reach, went, no, because your punches don't have to travel as far with a shorter reach. So Joe Calzaghe made me switch to, like, it's better to have shorter arms, like a little T-Rex. But I think Crawford's reach can play a massive part in this.
Mm-hmm. I think they're both so good. It's going to be the little things that make the difference, isn't it?
I'm interested to see is how much Terence Crawford does his switching.
Yeah.
What do you think he'll start with? Do you think he's going to start using that left jab, or is he going to start with the right jab?
Well, I'm intrigued because obviously he's fighting a southpaw and Spence is a southpaw. Whether he starts in the southpaw or orthodox, I think orthodox, and then see what he does.
I mean, because the southpaw is prone to catching that right hand.
Yeah.
They always are. So when it's... I think the front foot as well is who can get that foot on the outside. That's going to be a massive key.
Have really good footwork, but I think Crawford is faster with his footwork in and out.
Oh, that's a big claim.
He is. If you watch if you analyze the Porter fights against both of them, Porter had a lot of success because he's very fast with his footwork. Obviously, because he's a bit short to fight, he's really good. And Crawford is slower, and then he works him out, and then you see Crawford. Basically, what he did to Amir Khan, he was beating him to it, and you could see him do it. It's like he's worked it out and do it. I mean, not on the first watch because you get excited, but if you analyze it a few times, you can see him doing it. And I think hand speed as well, although both of them are fast. I think the thing is really for Crawford is for the first 2 or 3 rounds or whatever, 6, 7, where he takes the download. Spence, can he take the punishment up to that point, or can he keep away enough to get it? And if he can, I think then he switches.
I think I don't think with me personally I've got into Crawford's a knockout artist because he knocks everyone out. So you don't actually concentrate on how much skill he's actually got. He's just a knockout artist.
If you actually look at some of his decisions, he's like 190.
He's clear. Wide. But that's the thing. It's because you're expecting him to knock people out because last 9 fights he's knocked everyone out.
I think it's like we said with Inoue, he's got better, and now he calculates it, so he works it out. So the only rounds that the other opposition winning is because he's giving them to work you out. He's giving you a chance because he's trying to draw you. He's like with your fishing, he's baiting you to come in to see, all right, what can I do? Which way do I go? What's the angles I need here? This guy's, what's he doing wrong?
But Errol Spence is a special talent,
Yeah, that's why I think this makes it interesting. Against anybody else, we'd be like, Crawford wins.
Errol Spence is a special talent. I
think it's who, if he can grind more, if his style wears him down against the X factor of Crawford. I think it's his X factor is grind. And the other thing is that if Spence's plan A doesn't work, which, let's be fair, it has worked in all his 28 fights. If it doesn't work, has he got a plan B? Whereas we know Crawford's got plan A to Z.
Crawford's got a million. He's a bloody nightmare. He is an absolute nightmare. To go with Spence, to be honest, if I was going in the ring with Spence, I know what you're going to get. You're going to have to work really, really hard. But with Crawford, is he going left-handed? Is he going right-handed? Is he going to jab you, or is he going to feint, throw the 1-2?
You might have a great game plan. He's just going to switch. So your game plan goes out the window, which is what happened to Callahan, which happened to Porter. So should we go in for what predictions?
I've got 2.
Go on.
And I've been thinking about it hard.
You can go first. Should we do, because it's a 50-50, should we do what we think for both? So do your Errol Spence prediction first. What do you think?
Spence.
What do you think happens in a brief summary in that fight if Errol Spence wins? How does he win? I've changed my mind completely. Okay, go on.
I'm going for a total shock round 5 knockout
for Errol Spence.
Errol Spence.
Okay.
My original thing.
You heard it here. Load of crap, but you heard it here.
But my original thing was Spence on points.
Yeah.
But
that's what I was expecting you to say.
No, but I've changed.
Don't worry,
my
I'm going to say that.
When you just get something, I think something's going to happen. So for Spence, I think he's going to knock him out.
5th round. Just let me write that down. 5th round
knockout. Yeah, I'll write it down myself. KO 5.
Oh, KO 5th. Okay. Bud.
I'm going for a typical Bud prediction. And this is what I do think will happen.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's caveat that. We've got to start by that one.
I think Bud knocks him out in round 9.
Okay. So the second prediction, Bud one is your first prediction, if you like. And the Spence one is your
and I think
shock prediction.
And I think it's going to be a lot better fight than people think.
Yeah.
Because when it was first made, I thought it might be a bit of a boring fight, a bit of a chess match. But I think it's going to be an absolute war for some reason.
I think the guys are both too good for it to be boring. And the thing is, neither of them are used to losing. And I don't think either of them want to lose. So I think that makes it interesting. So, all right.
Come on, fanboy of Crawford.
First prediction for Errol
is...
split decision on points.
Split?
On points. So 12th round. So I'll write that down as well.
Split decision points.
Split decision points. And then, what did you say?
Do you know the bookies who got Crawford favourite for knockout, I think?
Yeah. So, all right, obviously, fanboy status here.
Fanboy.
I was going to go for the same round as you. But
no, we'll go with
I'm going to go with 10th now. So I'm going to add one on. So I think KO 10th round, because obviously Spence is rugged. So 10th round KO. I think it's going to take him a bit longer to work him out, because obviously there's quite a lot with Spence to work out. I think not to work him out, because I don't think he knows what he's going to do, but I think to work out his weaknesses and time him, I think it's going to take him about a good 5 rounds. And I think then from 6th he'll start, and I think then we see it'll go from the Errol Spence show up to that point to the Bud Crawford show.
Okay.
And that is the truth.
Okay.
Oh, wait, wrong boxer.
Last question.
Okay.
If Crawford gets knocked out, are you going to be all right doing a talk through about it?
I'm going to be crying. You're going to have to do the talk. I'm going to be distressed.
That'll be a podcast on my own talking about
it.
Yeah,
I'll just be sitting here crying in the background.
Yeah. Wow. No, it's going to be a great fight. I really look forward to it.
Well, no, I'm a fan of Spence as well. So, I mean, to be honest, either of them could win, and I wouldn't be shocked. I think, it being serious. If I'm being silly,
You're going to stay up and watch it, or are you going to record it and watch it in the morning?
And watch it probably. But you never know. This is good enough where it might be worth staying. Well, I don't think stay up. Go to sleep, wake up early and watch it.
Do you know what? I have, and I must do it, is I need to check the undercard. If the undercard's good, I'll stay up. I'll stay up and watch it. Because...
Oh, what did I say?
You need a good undercard for me to keep.
So we got a record. But favourite is, you're saying Bud, I'm saying Bud as well. Bud in 10th, you're saying Bud in 9th. But I can see Spence winning as well.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. All right.
Perfect.
Thanks very much for that.
Thanks very much.
See you in the next one. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.